Welcome everyone to our fourth session of NAA's DE&I Awareness Week. My name is James Swart, and I'm the Director of Education and Leadership Development here at NAA, and we're excited that you've joined us today. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. Today's session is being recorded and will be made available on the NAA website and YouTube channel following the session. We've also saved some time at the end for Q&A. Throughout the session, feel free to put any questions that you have in the chat or in the Q&A panel at the bottom of your screen. I also want to extend a special thanks to the Home Depot Pro for their sponsorship of DE&I Awareness Week. We are thankful for their partnership with the National Apartment Association. And with that, I'm excited to introduce our speakers for today's session. We've got a great lineup of folks who are going to share their expertise with you. So I'd like them to take a moment to introduce themselves. So Shakura, let's start with you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for spending your lunch with us. My name is Shakura Connor. I am the CEO and founder of Occupancy Heroes Incorporated.
Great, thanks, Shakura. Ricardo, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ricardo Alicea. I'm the Managing Director of Asset and Property Management for Wendover Housing Partners, and also the President for the Florida Apartment Association.
Great, thanks, Ricardo. Faith.
Hi, my name is Faith Barker, and I am the Marketing Manager at Trilogy Real Estate Group, operating out of the Chicagoland Apartment Association.
Great, thanks, Faith. Joe Ellis.
Hi, my name is Joe Ellis Barandica. I'm the Regional Education Director for Conam Management.
Great. And Sarah, over to you.
Good morning. It's still morning on the West Coast. So my name is Sarah Fluke, and I'm the Deputy Director with the Arizona Multi-Housing Association.
Perfect. Thank you all so much. And Shakura, I will turn it over to you.
With technology, right? All right, greetings everyone. Thank you so much. Welcome to the NAA Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Awareness Week. This is our third one, which is like, whoa, okay. I was here for the birth. I watched this thing grow, so it is mind-blowing. It has been amazing, and year after year, it just continues to get better and better. So shout out to the NAA for allowing space for such an important topic. I mean, like, really, they touch everybody. So where else can you go and be able to join in conversation about taming a toxic workplace culture, going beyond the title and discussing the true ask for DEI? I mean, like the true ask, okay? Expanding your markets with diversity, affiliate framework for DEI, and storytelling, allowing us all to be vulnerable and authentic. So, I mean, this is some amazing stuff. And the fact that not only do we have the opportunity to hear stories and learn from so many individuals that maybe we would not have even known before, okay, for an entire week, and then to continue the conversation throughout our firms and our associations and our communities for years to come is so refreshing, okay? But not only are we going to continue the conversation, we now have the tools to make a difference, and I absolutely love it. Okay, so DEI is not just a thing, okay? It's not just a thing to do just because it's the thing to do. DEI is the thing to do because it is the right thing to do, and we all benefit from it. Can we agree to that? Yes? I'm going to say yes on that. Yes. And so many of us want to do the right thing most of the time. So with that, right, I'm going to tell you what, with so many people wanting to do the right thing, today our group is going to make it easy for you to do the right thing. So diversity, equity, inclusion also includes affiliates. Affiliate associations represent all of us. They face the same challenges as other organizations in cultivating DE&I environments for themselves and for their members. So today, our panel of affiliate leaders will provide firsthand accounts of their hurdles, how they are reaching their goals through creative strategies, how they maintain those goals. And they're also going to discuss funding and provide some valuable information about assessing your DEI program. So with that being said, I want us to get started. And you know what? I believe that we should all have faith, okay? And this, what we're going through, we all need a little bit of faith. So I'm going to start with you, Faith. Yay! And we're going to talk about implementation. So how do you go about implementing DEI? How can you talk about that for us?
Certainly. So going into wanting to create a DEI committee, I'll kind of give you a little bit of my journey. So I am out of Chicago, as I mentioned before, and we didn't have a DEI program despite being one of the most diverse cities in the nation. It was something that I felt we needed to change. So in order to start this, you really need to get buy-in from whoever is responsible as your, head of organization or association. For us, that's the board of directors at the apartment association. So I came to their first annual meeting of the year, and I spoke about exactly this, that we are a diverse place, that we represent so many different people, and being in multifamily, you have so many different perspectives and people that come in and out and live in our buildings and are residents of our communities and of our cities. And why do we not have something internal that supports the people that are supporting these people, right? How can we take care of our association members and expect them, or how can we take care of our residents rather, if we're not taking care of our association members, making sure they feel like they belong, so our residents feel like they belong. So I'm very grateful that I had very easy buy-in with that experience. They were really excited to get started. And from there, we began surveying the members of our apartment association. So understanding some demographics of who works in multifamily in Chicago, but also understanding what is their knowledge of DEI, what's their interest in it, what are things that would be of value to them. Would they rather have panels like this where we talk about things, or would we rather have a instructor or a facilitator come on and give them additional training on DEI topics that are of value to them? And what DEI topics are of value? Do you prefer to hear things about race or about gender identity and how that can shift things? Are there topics that we're not even talking about? Doesn't matter, I guess. There's a lot of great things that you can go into with it. But by gauging all of this information from the start, we were able to make a roadmap moving forward that's going to identify and hit on what people are most interested in right off the bat to garner engagement, get a little bit of attention around this, and then move forward in our plan.
Wow. Well, Faith, I tell you, you put a lot into this. Your team focused a lot on understanding what people want and what people need. But let me ask you this. How did you go about selecting your members?
So from there, we had filled out the survey and said, if you're interested in being on the committee, click here and let us know. And we had about 50 people say that they were interested in it. I was expecting maybe 12. So it was really great to have that many people that were excited about this opportunity. And then from there, we had sent out a separate survey and said, hey, you've indicated you're interested. Let's get a little bit more information on you, and asked some other demographic questions before it didn't have a name, and now it did. What their interest was, how much time they had to devote. Do you have like 1 hour a month, or do you have 10? So that then we could take a look at the panel or the group of people that are interested and make sure that we've got people who are representing all different walks of life. We're not just having, group A or group B, also having people who have different time commitments, so that one person who's doing, the 10 hours can maybe have a certain role. And sometimes you just need somebody who can show up for the event and help set up tables and take it down. And that's fine too. That's support. So being able to kind of get not only a diverse amount of candidates, but a diverse amount of availability is really helping us be well-rounded as a whole.
Okay, very good. And Joanne, I see you nodding your head. So I know that's telling me that you went through some of these things too. And with all that, she said some good stuff, right? But what are the pain points? We need to get down to the nitty gritty. Tell us about that.
It really isn't. And Faith, you said so many great points, right? The survey, the buy-in, and that's really what we all need. And one of the things that FAA, or Florida Apartment Association, did was really do a SWOT analysis, check themselves, right? They, along with their board of directors, they had a strategic planning session in where they did a SWOT analysis. They wanted to know what were the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats within that association. And that's where it was really brought upon and noticed that we need a little bit more diversity in the leadership and the volunteer ranks. So FAA was able to explore extra ways that we can create, or I would say modify, and really be able to bring to another panel or another step forward in their current leadership plan. We've added a DE&I component to our leadership Lyceum program, which is super important. It's actually, I believe, Miss Marcy French. Who doesn't know Marcy French? She's the one that does one of our modules, and she's our DEI captain right now, right? And the fact that she's the person that they chose to bring awareness and to really bring this forward speaks a lot for the Florida Apartment Association. We also just literally are celebrating the first Latino president for FAA, which we have here on our board today. That's a huge accomplishment, right? And as a Latina myself, I am just so really enamored and proud to say that I serve on the Florida Apartment Association, that I serve with the AGO Association, with the Apartment Association of Greater Orlando, because they truly know that there's a need and they are making the strives in order to close those gaps and bring awareness. So bringing awareness is super important. The buy-in, the surveys, the asking, just ask your members, ask the people that are there with you in the nitty-gritty. What do we need? How do we best represent you? And like I said, I'm really am lucky enough to be in a state that, although diversity can be a little touchy on the political side, down to where it matters for me in the apartment association side, they both are working hand in hand and ensuring that we have opportunities.
Very good. Very well said. And look, we are here with the president. All right, Ricardo. Yay. We love it. We love it. There's always got to be a first, right? And you are that first. So Joellis, I hear what you were saying, right? And I just, when you talk about the first and we're being here today, how did you get the word out? How did you make it known this is what we need and we need you to play a role in it?
Yeah, it was having those difficult conversations. It was having the courage, and I truly mean that, the courage to stand up and have that conversation with someone in a leadership role, right? And I didn't have to have that conversation with Ricardo because we've experienced the same things. But I can pretty much state that I know Ricardo has had these conversations with others in rooms where maybe he didn't feel comfortable, maybe he didn't feel accepted. And the fact that he had the power and the authority to have those conversations and represent a culture and, you know, just where he comes from speaks volumes of the leadership here in the state of Florida. I know throughout the state of Florida, everyone is having these really tough conversations in forums where we normally wouldn't have them. This year will be the first year that, for example, here at the Apartment Association of Greater Orlando, we're walking the Pride Parade. That's a huge deal for us. Mm-hmm. It is the first group that's doing it. It's the first time. And we want allies. We want people to support us because we want to support others. So it's really just having the courage to have those uncomfortable conversations, knowing that you're not always going to get the answers that you want back, but it's that continued fight and that continued push forward that's really going to get us to where we need to be.
Right, right. Thank you for sharing that. Ricardo, I'm going to patch it over to you. So she said some things and it made me think, as the president, what do you do to get the message out? Because you were the first, you are the first. So number one, did you ever feel silenced? And number two, how are you getting the message out?
Thank you, Shakura. Yeah, and that's, you know, that is a task by itself. Mm-hmm. And I think that, you know, having the conversations. We keep hearing you need to have the conversation. And when you think that you are having a conversation, you keep having it because it's not enough. And you need to make sure that the message is getting out. Um, one of the things that we are doing on the Florida organization this year is we are creating a work committee, a task force to how can we bring diversity and inclusion into our boards. When you look around and, when you look at the NAA board, when you look at your local board, are you being represented by your membership? And if you're not, what are you doing? So what we're doing this year is we're creating a task force to see how can we help the local affiliates bring that diversity into their boards. How can they bring that representation into their boards? And again, it's having those tough conversations. Going. I'm planning to, go to the affiliates and talk to them personally and say, this is the task at hand. We need you to step up to the task. So those are some of the steps.
Okay, and obviously they're working. It sounds like there's a lot of changes going. We've got the walks. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
So we know it works.
And if I can ask also, Shikora, to what Faith was saying, establishing a DEI committee into your affiliate, it could be a daunting, task by itself. And where do you start? I think that it's very important to have a mission statement. What is it that you believe in, and what is it that you want to accomplish with this DEI committee that you are establishing, and also what is your vision? What is your vision for the association? And that, I think, if you have always that on the back of your mind, that will always guide you to where you want to be.
Right. Sarah, it looks like you want to say something. So we want to hear from you. What do you have to add to this? How are you getting the message out?
So we, similar to Faith, we started with a survey for our association to just gauge where our members were and how they were feeling within their own company culture. So then we could identify what benefits we could provide and bridging the gap in resources for them. Through that, we set up a small task force of 13 people and worked through some of those things. And so our messaging really started with our task force and making sure that they understood what the mission and the goals were for the group, and reminding them that the conversation wasn't always going to be easy. And that doesn't mean it's not worth having. I think that's when you need to push through the most, is when it's uncomfortable. But setting baselines and reminding folks that we're going to be respectful, but we're going to share our opinions. And no opinion is wrong necessarily. And we want to hear from everybody within the group, because we really did strive to make sure that we had a very diverse group. And we are a statewide association, so also looking to make sure that we had different areas of our state represented as well. There were a few times that we had to redirect. And I think as affiliates, we need to make sure that we're comfortable to do that and remind our group what the overarching goal and mission is. And we just need to make sure that we're ready for those conversations to say, hey, that's not what we're here for necessarily, and let's get back to what our mission is for this group.
Sarah, how did it feel when you had to redirect? How'd that feel?
Uncomfortable. I mean, I think certainly as affiliates, we are a membership organization, right? We're here to serve our members. And sometimes that can feel scratchy, when you have to really step in and say, that's great, and I respect your perspective and your opinion, but let's focus back on the mission. And I think we often do that with committees and boards. So naturally, I think affiliate staff are comfortable in those positions, but I think specifically when you're talking about a sensitive topic like DEI, it can feel a little more scratchy than it normally does. And thankfully, we started with our group just laying that groundwork of saying, hey, there's going to be times where you're going to be uncomfortable, and that's okay. We're going to keep pushing through. And we did hire a consultant that helped lead our group. So she was able to help with some of that messaging to make sure that we were being thoughtful and strategic with how we were handling those uncomfortable conversations.
Very good. I gotta say, do it right the first time, right? If you don't know, because this is something that we're all starting, bring in someone that can help you so that you don't have to go back and you're wasting time. So that was key that you said that you brought someone in. So can you talk to us about starting that initiative?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we started with a focus group of 13 folks from membership, all walks of life throughout the state of Arizona. We focused not only on diversity, but we also focused on company size and position too. So we wanted to make sure that we had folks that were on site, corporate level, HR. So we really had a broad swath of perspectives. That included 3 of our board members, and this was a goal. Our DEI initiative was a goal set by our board in 2021. As I mentioned, we hired a consultant who was absolutely incredible. She has worked very diligently in this space for over 35 years and just had a very warm presence about her. So she was fantastic. And we had 2 support staff that also helped this initiative. But we were clear that we wanted this to be membership led and staff supported and not the other way around. We have the absolute honor to have Kara House on our board. And so I feel like we cheated a little because she has so much knowledge in this space. And because of her work with the NAA DEI committee, we were able to make sure that our resources and toolkit paralleled and complemented the NAA toolkit. And so that was really because of Kara's leadership and her vision in bringing that together. We broke it out in 3 phases. Phase 1 was once the group completed the content for the toolkit. We have an incredible marketing and communications manager who's on the call today. Shout out to Christina. And she created our home on our website where we are going to house all of our resources. We made the decision to make this public. It's not locked down to membership, so anyone has access to it, because we feel like it's important for us to take a stand here in Arizona that we have these resources available. It's a comprehensive toolkit, read quite a lot of pages, but we broke it out in digestible sections on our website so it's easy to navigate. So if someone wants to just learn about this particular thing, they can easily navigate to that, or you can download the entire toolkit and read it front to cover. So phase 2, Kara and our consultant presented to our board at our annual board meeting in August. They shared what our findings were with our member survey. They highlighted the sections of the toolkit, and then they discussed what our hands-on training will look like. And the board was very excited and impressed with what our end product was, and they really did a big push for their teams to sign up for our training, which leads me to phase 3, which is our 2-day training course, which is actually next Wednesday and Thursday. So the training course will be hosted by our consultant. She created the content, and it covers 6 modules, which mirrors a lot of what's in our toolkit. Our participants are required, strongly suggested, that they participate in a pre-training survey just to gauge how connected they feel within their organization's own purpose, their coworkers and leadership. And then the training is also accompanied by a workbook where the participants will be working through exercises during the 2-day training. And that's it.
Wow. That's a lot. It sounds like a lot, right? But anything that's worth doing is going to take time. One thing that you said was that you guys are implementing this now, and you actually have phase 3 with your 2-day class next week, right? Is there any way that we can kind of twist your arm to come back and give us some follow-up, or put your information before we get off of here in the chat so that people can follow up and see how that went?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful.
And I do want to say, Ricardo mentioned early on, this might have been during our prep call, but this is a multi-year effort. And I think setting that expectation for your group, as my counterparts are all shaking their head vigorously.
Yeah.
This does not happen overnight. And I know that we all love the analogy of it's like making sausage. It's going to get ugly, but the end result is worth it. And I think if you just keep that in mind, that you need to keep going, and it can feel daunting at times, but it's critical. And it could take a couple of years. And Ricardo mentioned 3 or 4 on his side. I know for us, it's going on 2 to 3 years. Don't give up. Just keep moving forward.
Great message. Thank you for that, Sarah. And I just want to shout out 2 names that you guys spoke. You spoke about Miss Kara House, and who was the other one, Joe Ellis?
Marcy French.
Marcy French.
Come on.
Wonderful. I just want to shout them out because they are both on the DEI committee. And I just love being with them. I mean, it's wonderful. Again, NAA is doing great things and just allowing space. So I love that. And Ricardo, you've been doing a lot of things with training, and we need to know about it. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so again, like Sarah said, part of when we started, we set up our plan of work, and one of the goals that we wanted was the education, and we wanted to educate the leadership of our association. So what we did is we partnered up with our Valencia Community College here in Orlando, Florida. And they offer a diversity and inclusion program. So we were to partner with them and offer a 4-module academy. We call it the academy to our members. We try to emphasize our leadership, our board, to participate into this academy, to set the example for the entire membership of, we are here, we believe in it. We want to, support this. The 4 sessions were, on, of course, conversation of inclusiveness. We have biases, we have, emotional intelligence. But, one of the things that we enjoy the most that we still use to this day is that when we started the academy, we came up with the 14 ways to communicate. It was like, like a creed. And we all agree, we're going to stay within these guidelines. And we can share them with you guys too, because like I say, it's a very powerful, guidelines when you're having these conversations. So the academy, it's a 4 parts. We only wanted 20 people to attend. That was our goal. 20 people, and we had 37 actually complete the academy the first year.
Speaks volumes.
Yes, and all of them graduated. We did the survey afterward. We need to inspect what we expect. So we did the survey, and we had a 4.7 out of 5 on the survey. So we were very, very pleased with the results. And I guess in a little bit, we're going to talk about funding. So I'll tell you, how we funded and what we're doing to continue it. Yeah, that's what we did. And, we're going to continue the training as we go. Our next one, we are talking about some of the pains that we learned. And one of them was, working with such a large, organization like Valencia College, it had its challenges sometimes. Some of the information is very protected, and so we decided next year we're going to bring it in house. So we're going to have our Marcy French, do our next academy. So that is up and coming.
Very good. Well, I tell you, those are some really good stats. And Ricardo, you started talking about money. You mentioned it. So let's talk about the funding.
Absolutely. So we, of course, when we started this, it was something unbudgeted. So we decided to go for the NAA grant. So we applied for it, and we were very, very lucky to be awarded the grant to start this academy. And what we did, we didn't want people to not attend because, there was a price to it. So we made it free. It was free for anybody to attend. But, when you give it in for free, you sometimes don't get the results that you want. So we wanted people to have some skin on the game. So what we did is we had them pay a deposit of $125. So the deposit was fully refundable if you completed the course. We will give it back to you, absolutely. But we want that commitment for it. And at the end, when we send the survey out to get the results, we asked the participants, hey, if you enjoyed it, if you want your deposit back, absolutely, you can have it back. But help us support the next academy. And if you want to do so, then, donate your deposit towards the next. And, the majority of them did. So now we do have the funds to.
Wait a minute. Let's pause.
Yes.
Did you say that people gave money, the money that they put for their deposit, they allowed you to give it to somebody else? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying, yes.
Wow. Did you guys hear that? What do they say? Pay it forward?
We're paying it forward. We're paying it forward here in Florida.
Wow. And obviously for someone to feel that way, for someone to feel like, I'm going to go ahead and forfeit my money for somebody else, that means that your program was pretty impressive. It meant something, right?
Yeah, no, it is, and some of, the statements that we got, I mean, some people were like, oh my God, it really opened my eyes, and this is information that I can take on my day to day, not just at work, but, out of my personal life. We got really powerful statements. And, again, like you said, by people donating, their money, that by itself speaks volumes. And, that allows us to, do the academy again next year. And we're going to, again, do the same ask next year. So we can keep having the conversation. The conversation keeps going.
Wow. That's a very, very, very impressive. Number one, you got a grant. Okay. So when we talk about how we're going to do this, there's no money. Where is the funding going to come from? Tell us where you got that grant again from, Ricardo.
From NAA, the DEI.
Did it come from NAA, DEI?
Yes.
Is the association investing in its people? Picture that. That's amazing. That's amazing. And then for the people, oh my goodness, I tell you, that has got to be an amazing program. So talk to us about it, Ricardo. I gotta keep you here because that's so impactful. D&I leadership development and tools for success. Can you talk about it? Because obviously you're making it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, education is the first one, and, educate the leadership and making sure that they have that buy-in. I went to the board meetings and sat and say, I'm expecting you to attend, hold them accountable, and, to support what we're trying to do. So, definitely, it starts with that. It starts with the leadership, and, bring this also to your organization. Who in your organization, what leaders can you also bring to benefit from this free class that we're giving? It was free, basically. So it's empowering the people to go ahead and bring other leaders to it. I think that's very important. To get the buy-in, having the difficult conversations with those people, and you're going to have you're going to have resistance. You're going to have those people that are going to resist, and those are the ones that you need to have those difficult conversations. Understand why they're resistant and try to overcome it. And hopefully, I answer your question.
You did. You said a lot. We're here and we're talking about DEI leadership development and tools for success. Joelle, you have been there and you have witnessed. Can you talk about it?
I have. It truly was an amazing program. 4 modules that were all thought-provoking, that held us accountable for our thought processes, our conscious biases, our unconscious biases. And Ricardo mentioned the key takeaway was really the art of how we communicate with each other, and how these laws that we put together really resonate with our everyday. And it was also being or ensuring that we were transparent, and that we were equitable, and that we were really building relationships with those that feel underrepresented through collaborations. And this Leadership Academy truly was a collaboration. It was a group of leaders that want to make a change, and they showed up and they talked the talk. They answered the uncomfortable questions. There was a lot of engagement in the sessions that were really thought-provoking, and then we had to explain what our thought was, and that took a lot of bravery. Let's be real. When you are out there in front of a group of your peers, and we're talking about 37 people in a session, and you have to really check yourself and say, hey, are the friends that I have my friends because they all look like me? Or is it because I want to be a little bit different, and I'm looking for other friendships and are outside of my groups? It was really gut checking. And I am so proud of the Orlando Association because they gut check themselves. They made us gut check ourselves, and they truly are involved and engaged with their associates to a degree that that's our resource, right? That's who we go to when we feel we need to have that uncomfortable conversation. It's the DE&I committee, it's Ricardo, it's the association itself, it's FAA, and it's each and every one of us that are here, and we're willing to put in the work as long as you're willing to work with us.
Wow, that's good. That's really good. But let's be honest, it takes a lot. Okay.
Yes.
And I say that because it does take a lot. However, it's worth it. And it sounds like you've got a lot of moving parts. You've got certain people playing a certain role and doing this and doing that. But how do you know that they're really doing this and doing that? Okay. So Faith, talk to us about that. How do you inspect what you expect? How do you do that?
Yeah, so as we mentioned, inspecting what you would expect is something that's really important as we are going through the process of a DEI committee or task force. And something that's really important, and we're talking about Marcy French, bring her up again, something she always mentions is that it's always a work in progress, and the work is never really done, right? She says, I'm somebody who facilitates DEI conversations all the time, and I'm still somebody who messes things up or says things wrong. And I think that's a really humble approach that all of us should take when we're approaching this. We are going to do the best we can, and when we learn better, we're going to do better. And that comes with inspecting what you expect. Starting with that, it's making sure that your expectations are upfront, clear, concise, and that everybody is on the same page with what you're asking for. So I see we've got a question in the chat about recruiting members on your DEI team. And making sure that they identify as underrepresented. So what does that mean to you? Be really clear. Does that mean that you want people of different ethnicities? Does that mean you want people of different races? Does that mean, are you willing to accept somebody who's white showing, but is a member of the LGBTQ community? What are these things like that you want to make sure you're clear and concise and everyone's on the same page? And then moving forward and keeping that consistent. So how are we defining diversity? How are we defining what we are looking for? And that needs to be seen each phase of the game, and each step that you do, that needs to be in mind. Ricardo had mentioned having a vision, having a mission. That would be a great time to keep that consistency in, right? Every action you do should line up with that mission, that vision, that goal. And finally, just making sure to be visible with everything, making sure people see that you are engaged, that you are open to listening, that you're open to feedback, that you are seeing where things are consistent, where you're seeing things that are not, and asking for feedback too. It's good we can do everything that we think is great, but if those who are on the receiving end don't see that we're doing enough, or don't understand what we're doing, or have any questions or concerns, we should be taking that and welcoming that feedback, welcoming those opinions and those ideas so that we can learn better and do better.
And Shakora, I just want to add something to Faith real quick. Faith,
Mhm.
everything that you said is like on the money. You are speaking my language. I just want to point out that the focus should be on supporting and empowering that
Mhm.
underrepresented group rather than just solely addressing the issue, right? So we can
Exactly.
address the issue, but if we are not focusing on supporting the people that need it, then what's the point? So I
Exactly.
love everything you say, but I want everybody to focus on that it is really supporting and empowering those underrepresented groups rather than just DE&I the word.
And
Absolutely.
I want to also add, just to answer the question that says, what's the best way to recruit members
Mhm.
that identify as underrepresented? You know, sometimes you have to tap those people in the shoulder and say, hey, you, come and have a seat on the table.
Mhm.
You know, Marcy, going back to Marcy, you know, she speaks about, you know, somebody, you know, she was, you know, in her Colorado and somebody came and said, I want you to teach this class. And she was like, me? I'm a manager, you know, you want me to teach that? And look where she's now, you know.
Mhm.
I know somebody tap her on the shoulder and say, come on, do it. Um, she would not be here. And that's what sometimes we have to do.
Absolutely. And
Exactly.
point. I'm so glad that you brought up that, the key and the focus on this is how are we supporting and recognizing and uplifting our marginalized groups? Because an unfortunate stigma around DEI is that it's a facade, or that it's a box to check off, or that it's not something of meaning, right? People will say things like, I want to hire the best person, or I want to put the best person in the position. But there's so many things that go around that, that are explored through DE&I. Maybe somebody has their CAM and somebody doesn't. And getting a CAM is a huge recognition, but this person didn't, and maybe didn't have the opportunity or the financial ability to afford going through that process, could have very similar experience or potentially better. Maybe they've worked longer. These are all things that we should keep in mind and consider, and understanding that when we are talking about marginalized groups, it's not just to make sure that my picture has people of varying skin tones. It's that we're bringing diverse opinions and ideas and experiences into our organizations and into our associations, uplifting those voices and giving them that seat at the table.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that you said that. Sarah, do you have anything to add to that? The best way to recruit members onto your DE&I team?
Of course. But I want to echo what Faith said and just add just a little. I think it's really important that when you start, and probably before you engage your member group, so the internal conversations that you're having with staff and board, whoever your stakeholders are, that this cannot be a set and forget. This doesn't go on the bookshelf. And if you don't have the ability to sustain, then don't start it. And I think it's okay to have that hard conversation with yourself, right? To say that if we can't do it right, like Shakora, you said that in the beginning, if you can't do it right, then don't do it. Because it can appear as though it's a box check, or it's trending, and we're just doing what we think we need to do, right? And so I would just caution folks to really make sure that this is something that they can sustain and continue having the conversation around before they start.
Absolutely.
Also talk about when you're recruiting folks for your task force, working group, committee, whatever it is that your association or group is going to call it. I think it's also okay to say no to people. If there are people that are interested, or that maybe they just wouldn't be a good fit because you've seen them on committees or you've seen them at board meetings or whatever the case is, I think that's where, again, we have those scratchy conversations as the affiliate staff to say, you know what, we appreciate you. At this time, it may not be a good fit, or we're already filled, or whatever the verbiage is that you use. But I think it's okay. I think it's okay to say no. And like Ricardo said, you probably are going to have to go out and recruit folks because they may not be comfortable being involved, or maybe they didn't even see that you guys were working on something, that was important to them. And we had to do that on our side. We really had to go to people that say, we think you'd be great at this, and we see your heart and your passion, and we'd love for you to be involved in this group. And some respectfully declined, and others were excited that we thought of them. And we also asked our board to identify those folks as well, maybe people who weren't involved that we wouldn't know about. And we did get suggestions from our board as well, because they are going to be familiar with their thought leaders within their own company.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you for answering that. And Savannah, thank you so much for posing that question. You guys, this is all some really good information. But my question to you is, how did it start? What did you do when you first said, you know what, I need to do this? We need to implement this. Where did you go? Did you go to other firms that were already doing this? Did you talk to family and friends? What'd you do? How did we get here?
Well, I'll start. I did research. I really wanted to, and I look at it from a different perspective. I'm an immigrant. I was not born in the United States. I came here when I was a child. So I faced discrimination for a big part of my life. You know, the way people say my name, it's not an easy way. Just a lot of things, age. I mean, a number of things. You know, I was a single mom for a while. A lot of, a lot of issues arose when I was younger, like just language barriers. And when I got to the position where I am today, and this was 2-3 years ago that I really had to do that gut check. It was a point in my life where I wasn't Joe Ellis, or I wasn't Joelis Barandica. I was Joe Ellis. Like, be very careful on how you pronounce my name. I wanted to sound very Anglo, or I wanted to fit in so that I felt accepted. So the first step, I think, for me was realizing that there was an issue. And then doing the research, going to my leaders, going to my local associations, asking people whenever I converse with them. It was truly just gut checking. And it was gut checking for myself. Forget about everyone else. It was myself. What are the biases that I have, in my position against others? So it was truly, truly just gut checking myself, wanting to make a difference, and knowing that I needed to be better because I have children that are of darker skin, that are female, that are going to go through challenges, and I want to make the world a little bit easier for them. And that's where it started for me. It was gut checking and then doing research, having those conversations, sometimes breaking barriers and sitting in tables that didn't want me to sit there. And that was okay. I had to. So that's how I started.
Very good. Okay, so a personal question for you guys. How does this make you feel? Being in this initiative, doing the work, seeing the change, going through the hard parts, and seeing things get easier. How does it make you feel? Who wants to answer that?
I can start. It makes me feel that so much more, that it's just the tip of the iceberg. And there's so much more to be done. So much. I encourage everybody that it's on the call to join the cause, because we need to recruit as many people as we can to get this message out there and to get this through. That's how it makes me feel.
Very good. Faith, how does it make you feel?
For me, this is work that fills my cup. It makes me feel very empowered, and I think I have a similar sentiment to Joelis. I want to leave the world better and make things easier for people. And I think everybody on this panel has worked really hard and gotten the door open, but that's half the work. And for me, the other half is reaching your hand back and bringing somebody else in. So this is, kind of pieces of my work that I do to build that up and keep that door open and keep extending that hand back and bringing more in. And I just think if this is what we're doing right now in 2023, where are we going to be in 2033 and 2043? What kind of strides and changes are we going to make? And like Ricardo said, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. Sarah?
Yeah, it's a wide range of emotion. I think there are days where it's like, wow, we're really doing this. This is great. And there are other days where it's like, man, this doesn't feel like enough. And I think it's okay to have those wide range of emotions, and knowing that there is not a perfect solution. There's certainly not a destination for this either. It sounds trite, but it is a journey. And as things change, we need to be adaptable to that. And so keeping our own expectations of ourselves also in line, to know that you're going to have days where you feel like you're not doing enough, and you're failing and you didn't get it right. And then there's going to be days where you do see a light bulb moment of, holy crap, we really made a difference, and we really can see our legacy in this. I would just again say, don't give up and just keep moving forward. It's so critically important for us to continue having these conversations, and just find someone that you can latch onto, especially as an affiliate staff, that can keep encouraging you to move forward and do the hard things.
Thank you for that message. And that is so true. It's not just about having the conversations. It's actually getting in there and doing the work. We can't just keep talking about it. Katrina asks, how would you recommend implementing an initiative on a smaller scale at a smaller company?
Reaching out to your local apartment association, see what resources they have. Look at the NAA toolkit, see how you can have that conversation and implement those in your organization. And then reaching out to experts, much like Marcy French's or even one of us, and we'll be able to at least provide you a resource and a roadmap for you to, go ahead and try this initiative on your own.
And I kind of, NAA has done an amazing job with resources and tools that you can, there are your fingerprints on the website. So yes, definitely go to the website because they have so much information, and they do an amazing job.
I'm so glad that you said that, Ricardo, because he is so correct. We've got a toolkit on there now. If you go there, then you'll see it. It is jam-packed with information. And again, I also want to refer you back to that grant. You don't have to be on a large scale in order to qualify for that grant. Okay. And I can also say this, it's not enough people applying for it. Okay. So toss your name out there in the hat. So thank you for that, Savannah. Any other questions? We have just a few minutes left on here.
Chikora, can I add in something for Katrina's question? I think Absolutely. It also starts at home, meaning within your own company, right? Talk to your employees, survey them, see where they are, because you might think that your company should go left, and your employees are saying, no, we need to go right. And so making sure that you understand where the gaps are and what the needs are of your employees, or how you can best support them in this, I think is step number one if you haven't done that. And then that would help you identify what resources you need. And to Ricardo's point, the NAA has a ton of resources. We are going to share, spoiler alert, we're going to share our resources that we have. I will drop the link into our toolkit. And certainly, I think any of us on this call would be more than happy to have conversations with you or connect you with people that could help.
Thank you for that. Savannah has another question. She said, with our specific company, we are noticing that diversity really falls on site. What is the best way to bring up DE&I to executives of the company with the little DE&I knowledge? Who wants to speak to that one?
I would say every executive is motivated by something. If they're motivated by money, there are statistics that show that if you have diversity, equity, and inclusion within your company, you are more profitable. And I think it's in the 30% more profitable than a company that doesn't. So if I was an executive and you show me the statistics, I'm motivated by money, I would be like, oh, okay, let's maybe perhaps have the discussion. Maybe they're motivated by doing good, and that's an easy one. Whatever it is, find what motivates them and go that route. But definitely have the conversations on maybe the why not. Why not? Why you don't want to have it, or why don't you believe it? And start that way.
Yeah, I'd
In
have to say
addition
that.
to that, go ahead,
I-
Joella.
Yeah, I'd have to say that they just begin the conversation by explaining the business benefit of DE&I. And that could include improved innovation or better decision-making skills, or even just a stronger commitment to the company, loyalty. And really, like Ricardo said, providing that data with statistics and highlighting success stories of other industry partners or similar situations that have successfully integrated DE&I into their operations and what they've gotten out of it.
I think the example is right in there. It says that you've got diversity on site. Can you pull some data from that? Do you have a team that's diverse versus a team that has like less diversity, and we can compare and contrast a little bit? Because I mean, executives are often motivated by numbers, as we've mentioned. Money is huge, but when you can also put it into their backyard per se, that yeah, other companies see great success with this, but not only that, you already are seeing success with this diverse on-site team. What would that look like if you extended that to corporate?
Exactly. And keep in mind, executives want to see actual facts. Okay. Write it down and type it up. Don't just talk about it, show it to them. Okay. They need to see the pros, they need to see the cons, and they need to see the truth. Okay. So give them the truth, put it in their face, give them the actual facts. Thank you for that question. Do we have any other questions? I think we have time for maybe one more question. Okay, anything you guys would like to share? Because I think we got like 2 minutes.
I guess go ahead, Faith, go ahead. I'll go after you.
That we have openings right now for NAA for the Diversity Leadership Program and the Leadership Lyceum. I have been in both, and I can say the Diversity Leadership Program has truly changed the trajectory of my career. If you have more information, I could talk about this for a whole hour on its own. So I will.
And I could bear witness to it.
Yes, but it is a truly impactful program that has changed me as a leader. I started DLP, and I was truly at like a loss in my career. I was considering like maybe moving to a different industry even. My confidence totally shifted. My engagement totally shifted. I am not the same person I was 2 years ago when I got it, and I'm so grateful for that. So I would highly recommend it to anybody, and I will stop talking about it right now so somebody else can talk.
So I got some last parting words, and I just really want everyone to remember that diversity, equity, and inclusion are not just words, that they're action. And we can continue this journey with compassion, with empathy, and the determination to make a difference. And this isn't the end of the conversation, but the beginning. So please, let's commit to that ongoing dialogue, learning, and growth in pursuit of that more inclusive world.
Very good. Ricardo, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I would say, definitely, just by being part of this session, it is the first step, it is a step. And, continue taking those steps one step at a time is how we get to the goal. Get involved, reach out, to the resources, any of us, bring people along too, get those supporters behind you that are going to push you forward. So that's very important.
Very good. Sarah?
I would add that when you think that you don't have something to say or you don't have something of value to provide, you're wrong. And I think everybody can be a part of this conversation, and everyone can provide perspective and support. So don't be shy or feel like you don't belong at the table. There are ways for you to get involved. And I think we all got here because someone raised their hand and said, we need to do something about this. So be that person for your state, your company, your affiliate. Know it's going to be hard, but again, it's worth doing. And reach out to resources, or again, anyone on this panel. We're here to support and help bounce ideas off.
Thank you. James, we're going to pass it back to you.
Great. Thank you all so much for sharing such great insights today. I know I took several things away, and I'm sure our attendees did as well. And just as Joella said, this is just the beginning of the conversation, because tomorrow we're going to wrap up the 2023 DE&I Awareness Week with a session featuring Lori Goldman, Kara House, and Ishia Shepard. All three serve on the NAA DE&I committee. So we hope that you will join us back at 2 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow for that session. Thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you. Make a difference, guys.